Maya Chen stared at her phone screen, reading the text message for the third time. Her heart sank a little more with each word. "So sorry, Maya, but I can't watch Jake today. My daughter has a fever and I don't want to spread anything. Hope you understand." She set the phone down on her kitchen counter and looked at the clock. 7:15 in the morning. In exactly 45 minutes, she needed to be at Morrison Financial Services, sitting at her desk, ready to take customer calls. But instead of getting ready for work, she was standing in her small apartment kitchen, still in her pajamas, facing a problem that had no good solution. Her 6-year-old son Jake sat at their little kitchen table, already dressed for school. His backpack hung on the chair beside him, and his lunchbox sat ready on the counter. Everything was prepared for a normal Tuesday morning. Everything except for the fact that his school had called yesterday evening to say the heating system had broken down. No school today. Maybe not tomorrow either. "Mom, are we going somewhere?" Jake asked, looking up from his bowl of cereal. His dark hair stuck up in 3 different directions, and he had that sleepy look kids get when they wake up too early. Maya forced a smile. "Still figuring that out, sweetie. Eat your breakfast." She picked up her phone again and scrolled through her contacts. Who could she call? Her mother lived 2 states away. Her sister had her own kids to worry about. The regular babysitter was sick. The backup babysitter had moved last month. Her neighbor, Mrs. Johnson, was sweet, but she was almost 80 and couldn't handle an active 6-year-old for 8 hours. Maya worked in customer service at Morrison Financial Services. It wasn't her dream job, but it paid the bills. Well, most of them anyway. The company offered health insurance, which she desperately needed as a single mom. Her boss, Mr. Peterson, ran a tight ship. He was the kind of man who noticed if you were 3 minutes late coming back from lunch. He definitely wasn't the type to understand childcare emergencies. She had already used up her sick days earlier this year when Jake had the flu. She couldn't afford to miss work. Not again. Last month, when she had missed 2 days due to childcare issues, Mr. Peterson had pulled her aside for what he called a friendly chat about reliability. It hadn't felt very friendly. Maya went to her bedroom and got dressed quickly. Black pants, white blouse, the same professional outfit she wore most days. As she brushed her teeth, her mind raced through possibilities. None of them were good. She could quit her job and find something with evening hours. But then who would watch Jake at night? She could move back to her hometown where her mother could help. But there were no jobs there. And she had worked too. Hard to build a life in the city, or there was one other option. An option that made her stomach twist with anxiety just thinking about it. Morrison Financial Services had a small break room on the 2nd floor. It was quiet during most of the day. Jake was a good kid. He could sit quietly with his coloring books and tablet. Nobody had to know. She would just need to make it through one day. Tomorrow, surely she could figure something else out. "Jake, honey, how would you like to come to work with Mommy today?" she asked, trying to keep her voice light and cheerful. His face lit up. "Really? Can I see where you work?" "Yes, but it has to be our special secret, okay? You would need to be very, very quiet, like a mouse. Can you do that?" Jake nodded eagerly. "I can be quiet. I'm good at being quiet." It was true. Jake was naturally a calm child. He could spend hours drawing or reading picture books. When they went to restaurants, other parents would comment on how well-behaved he was. If any kid could pull this off, it was Jake. Maya packed his backpack with extra activities. Coloring books, crayons, his tablet with headphones, some books and snacks. Lots of snacks. She added a small blanket and even a pillow just in case. The drive to work felt longer than usual. Maya's hands gripped the steering wheel tightly. This was either going to work perfectly or it was going to be a complete disaster. There was no middle ground. "Remember, Jake, this is our secret adventure," she said, as they walked into the office building. "You're going to be the quietest little boy in the whole building. I remember, Mom. I'll be like a ninja." The elevator ride to the 2nd floor felt like it took forever. Maya's heart pounded as the doors opened. The office was quiet. Most people arrived between 8 and 8:30. It was only 7:55. Maya, quickly set Jake up in the break room. She arranged his coloring books on the small table in the corner, away from the main seating area. She set up his tablet and made sure his headphones were working. She opened a juice box and placed some crackers within reach. "Okay, Ninja Boy, this is your secret base. I'll be right down the hall at my desk. If you need anything, you come find me. But try to be invisible, okay?" Jake gave her a serious nod. "I understand the mission, Mom." Maya kissed the top of his head and walked to her desk. Her workstation was in a large room with about 20 other customer service representatives. Everyone sat in cubicles answering phone calls and helping customers with their financial questions. She logged into her computer and put on her headset. The first call came in at 8 o'clock sharp. "Good morning, Morrison Financial Services. This is Maya. How can I help you today?" For the next 2 hours, everything went perfectly. Maya handled call after call, helping customers with account, questions, and payment issues. During her 15-minute break, she checked on Jake. He was exactly where she had left him, quietly coloring a picture of a dinosaur. "How's the mission going, soldier?" she whispered. "Good," he whispered back. "I colored 3 pictures and I read 2 books." A few of her co-workers had noticed Jake during their breaks. Linda from accounting brought him an extra pack of crackers. Steve from the mailroom showed him a magic trick with a quarter. Everyone who met Jake thought he was adorable and well-behaved. "Your son is so sweet," Linda told Maya. "He's just sitting there like a little angel." Maya smiled, but inside she felt nervous. So far, so good. But Mr. Peterson usually did his morning walkthrough around 10:30. She just needed to keep Jake out of sight until then. At 10:15, Maya was in the middle of a call when she saw Jake appear at her cubicle. He looked worried. "Mom," he whispered, "I need to use the bathroom." Maya put her customer on hold. "It's right down the hall, sweetie. The one with the blue door." Jake nodded and walked away quietly. Maya went back to her call, helping a customer understand their monthly statement. 5 minutes later, Jake returned to her desk. But this time, he wasn't alone. Standing right behind her 6-year-old son was Mr. Peterson, and he did not look happy. Time seemed to freeze. Maya looked up at Mr. Peterson's face and saw exactly what she had been afraid of seeing. His jaw was set tight, his eyes were cold, and that little vein on his forehead was already starting to show. That vein only appeared when he was really angry. Jake stood between them looking confused. He could sense something was wrong, but he didn't understand what. He looked up at Maya with worried eyes. "What exactly is going on here?" Mr. Peterson's voice was quiet, but Maya could hear the anger underneath. When Mr. Peterson spoke quietly, it was always worse than when he yelled. Maya's customer was still on hold. She could hear the faint sound of hold music coming through her headset. Around the office, other people were starting to notice the situation. Conversations were getting quieter. People were trying to look busy while actually watching what was happening. "I can explain," Maya said, standing up from her chair. Her legs felt shaky. "Jake, sweetie, can you go back to the break room for a minute? I need to talk to Mr. Peterson." "Is everything okay, Mom?" Jake asked in a small voice. "Everything's fine, honey. Just go color another picture for me." Jake walked away slowly, looking back over his shoulder. Maya watched him go, her heart breaking a little with each step. This was going to be bad. She could feel it. Mr. Peterson waited until Jake was out of hearing range. Then he turned his full attention to Maya. "Ms. Chen, would you care to explain why there is a child in my office?" "My babysitter got sick this morning and Jake's school is closed for repairs," Maya began. "I tried to find someone else to watch him, but—" "Stop right there," Mr. Peterson interrupted, holding up his hand. "Are you telling me that you brought your personal childcare problems into our workplace?" Maya's face felt hot. She was aware that her coworkers were listening even though they were pretending not to. "It was just for today. I couldn't miss work again. Jake has been very quiet. He hasn't disturbed anyone." "That's not the point," Mr. Peterson said. His voice was getting louder now. "This is a professional office environment, not a daycare center. We have policies for a reason." "I understand that, but this was an emergency situation. I didn't have any other choice." Mr. Peterson's face was turning red now. There are always choices, Miss Chen. You could have called in sick. You could have taken a personal day. You could have arranged proper childcare like every other working parent manages to do. Maya felt her own anger starting to build. She had been doing her job perfectly for over 2 years. She was never late, never rude to customers, never missed deadlines. She had used exactly 2 sick days this entire year, both when Jake had been truly sick. She wasn't asking for special treatment, she was asking for basic human understanding. "I've already used my sick days," she said, trying to keep her voice calm. "And I can't afford to take unpaid time off. I'm a single mother trying to do my best in a difficult situation. Your personal circumstances are not my concern," Mr. Peterson replied coldly. "My concern is running a professional business. What you've done today is completely unacceptable." Linda from accounting was walking by and overheard the conversation. She stopped and looked like she wanted to say something. Maya had told her about Jake being in the break room, and Linda had been nothing but kind about it. But when Mr. Peterson glared at her, Linda quickly looked away and kept walking. "Mr. Peterson, please," Maya said. "Jake hasn't caused any problems. He's been sitting quietly in the break room all morning. No customers have seen him. He hasn't disrupted anyone's work." "Disrupted your work?" Mr. Peterson snapped. "You left your desk during work hours to check on him. You've been distracted all morning, and now you're arguing with me instead of taking customer calls." Maya looked at her computer screen. The call she had put on hold was still waiting on the customer had been on hold for almost 5 minutes now. That would definitely go against her performance metrics. "You're right," she said quietly. "Let me take this call, and then we can talk about this properly." "No," Mr. Peterson said firmly. "You will not be taking any more calls today. Please collect your son and come to my office immediately." Maya's stomach dropped. She knew what this meant. She had seen other people get called to Mr. Peterson's office for serious discussions. Some of them came back to their desks. Others cleaned out their cubicles and left. She walked to the break room on unsteady legs. Jake was sitting at the little table, coloring a picture of a rocket ship. He looked up when she came in, and his face brightened. "Mom, look what I drew. For you." "It's beautiful, honey," Maya said, forcing a smile. "But we need to pack up your things now." "Are we going home?" "We need to go talk to my boss first." Jake could hear something wrong in her voice. "Am I in trouble?" "No, sweetie. You didn't do anything wrong. You were perfect." Maya helped Jake pack his coloring books and tablet back into his backpack. Her hands were shaking a little, and she hoped he wouldn't notice. They walked down the hall to Mr. Peterson's office. Other employees watched them go. Some looked sympathetic. Others just looked curious. Mr. Peterson's office was small and neat. Everything had its place. His desk was completely clear except for a computer, a phone, and a single pen. There were no family pictures, no personal items, nothing that suggested he understood what it was like to have a life outside of work. "Please sit down," he said, pointing to the 2 chairs in front of his desk. Maya sat down and Jake climbed into the chair next to her. His legs dangled, not quite reaching the floor. He looked very small in the big office chair. "Miss Chen," Mr. Peterson began, "what you did today shows a serious lack of judgment and professionalism. This company has clear policies about unauthorized personnel in the workplace." "I understand your concerns," Maya said, "but surely we can work something out. This won't happen again. I can arrange better backup childcare. The issue isn't just about today," Mr. Peterson continued. "This is part of a pattern. You've missed work twice in the past 3 months due to childcare issues. You've been late 4 times this year. Your personal life is interfering with your professional responsibilities," Maya wanted to argue. She wanted to point out that being late 4 times in an entire year was hardly unreasonable for a single parent. She wanted to remind him that she had never missed a deadline, never been rude to a customer, never failed to meet her call quotas. But she could see in his face that none of that mattered. "I'm going to have to let you go," Mr. Peterson said, flatly. The words hit Maya like a physical blow. She had expected this, but hearing it out loud still felt shocking. "You're firing me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I'm terminating your employment effective immediately due to violation of company policy regarding unauthorized personnel and a pattern of attendance issues. Jake looked up at Maya with confused eyes. He didn't understand all the words, but he could tell something very bad was happening. Please clean out your desk, Mr. Peterson continued. Security will escort you to your car. Maya stood up slowly. Her legs felt like they might give out. Can I at least finish out the day? I have customers waiting. No, you need to leave now. The walk back to her desk felt like the longest walk of her life. Jake held her hand tightly, sensing her distress. At her cubicle, Maya opened her desk drawers and began putting her few personal items into a cardboard box that someone had found for her. Her co-workers watched in uncomfortable silence. Linda came over and squeezed Maya's shoulder. I'm so sorry, she whispered. Steve from the mailroom shook his head in disgust. This is wrong, he muttered, but not loud enough for Mr. Peterson to hear. Maya packed quickly, a coffee mug, a small plant, a photo of Jake from his last birthday, a sweater she kept in case the office got cold. That was it. 2 years of her life fit into a small cardboard box. As they walked toward the elevator, Jake tugged on her sleeve. Mom, why are you crying? Maya hadn't realized she was crying. She wiped her eyes quickly. Just allergies, sweetie. The security guard was polite, but firm. He walked them all the way to Maya's car and watched as she buckled Jake into his car seat. Maya put the cardboard box in her trunk and got behind the wheel. She sat there for a moment, not starting the car. Through the office building's windows, she could see her former co-workers at their desks going about their normal day. For them, this was just another Tuesday morning. For her, everything had just fallen apart. Are we going home now? Jake asked from the back seat. Yes, honey, Maya said, finally starting the car. We're going home. As they drove away, Maya's mind was already racing ahead to all the problems waiting for her. Rent was due in 2 weeks. The car payment was due next week. Jake needed new shoes. And now she had no income and a termination on her employment record. She had tried to do the right thing, to be both a good mother and a good employee. But sometimes, Maya realized, trying to do the right thing wasn't enough. The first week after losing her job, Maya tried to stay positive. She told herself this was just a temporary setback. She had good work experience, decent references from her previous supervisor, and she was willing to work hard. How difficult could it be to find another job? The answer, as she discovered over the following days, was very difficult. Maya spent hours every day searching job websites on her laptop, customer service positions, administrative roles, data entry jobs. She applied for everything that paid enough to cover rent and groceries. Jake would sit beside her at their small kitchen table, working on homework or drawing pictures while she typed cover letter after cover letter. What are you writing, Mom? Jake asked one afternoon, looking up from his math worksheet. Just some letters to people who might want to hire me for a new job, Maya explained, trying to sound cheerful. Will they hire you? I hope so, sweetie. But as the days turned into weeks, hope became harder to maintain. Maya's savings account was small to begin with, and it was shrinking fast. She had maybe enough to cover rent and basic expenses for 6 weeks if she was very careful. The unemployment office was a depressing place. Maya sat in hard plastic chairs for hours, filling out forms and attending required meetings about job search techniques. The caseworker assigned to her case was a tired-looking woman named Mrs. Rodriguez, who had clearly seen too many people in Maya's situation. You were terminated for policy violation, Mrs. Rodriguez said, reading from Maya's file. That might make things more challenging. It wasn't anything serious, Maya explained. I brought my son to work during a child care emergency. I wasn't stealing or being dishonest or anything like that. Mrs. Rodriguez nodded sympathetically, but Maya could see in her eyes that she'd heard similar stories before. I understand, but potential employers might see any termination as a red flag. You'll need to be prepared to explain the situation in interviews. The problem was getting interviews in the first place. Maya sent out dozens of applications every week. Most got no response at all. A few companies sent polite rejection emails. Even fewer called her for phone screenings that seemed to go well, but never led to actual interviews. When she did get interviews, Maya could see the moment when everything changed. The conversation would be going fine until the interviewer asked about why she left her previous job. Maya had practiced different ways to explain the situation, but no matter how she phrased it, the response was always the same. A slight change in expression, a shift in tone, questions that felt more like they were looking for reasons not to hire her. "So you brought your child to work?" one interviewer asked, raising an eyebrow. "And you don't see how that might be problematic?" "It was a one-time emergency," Maya explained. "My childcare fell through unexpectedly and I couldn't afford to miss work. I understand it wasn't ideal, but my son was very well behaved and didn't disrupt anyone. But it does show a certain lack of planning and professional judgment." The interviewer continued. "How can we be sure this kind of situation won't happen again?" Maya left that interview knowing she wouldn't get the job. She sat in her car in the parking lot and allowed herself 5 minutes to cry. Then she wiped her eyes, drove to Jake's school to pick him up and pretended everything was fine. Money became a constant worry. Maya started buying the cheapest groceries she could find. Generic cereal, store-brand everything, lots of pasta and rice. She canceled their cable and their streaming services. She told Jake they couldn't go to the movies anymore or out for ice cream on Fridays like they used to do. "Are we poor now?" Jake asked one day in that direct way that children have of asking difficult questions. Maya was making dinner, spaghetti with plain tomato sauce again, and the question caught her off guard. "We're just being careful with money right now," she said. "Because you lost your job?" "Because I'm between jobs," she corrected gently. "It's temporary." But as weeks turned into months, temporary started to feel permanent. Maya's neighbor, Mrs. Liu, was a sweet, elderly woman who had lived in the apartment next door for 15 years. She had watched Jake grow up and sometimes brought him cookies or small treats. One evening, she knocked on Maya's door with a concerned expression. "Maya, dear, I hope you don't mind me asking, but is everything all right?" "I heard Jake crying through the wall last night." Maya's cheeks burned with embarrassment. "He just had a bad dream. I'm sorry if we disturbed you." "Oh no, dear, that's not what I meant," Mrs. Liu said quickly. "I was just worried, and I wanted you to know if you ever need someone to watch Jake, I'm happy to help. I know you've been looking for work." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. "That's very kind of you, Mrs. Liu. Thank you. We mothers have to help each other," the older woman said with a gentle smile. Maya took Mrs. Liu up on her offer when she finally managed to secure an interview at a small accounting firm. The interview went well until the inevitable question about her previous employment. When Maya explained about bringing Jake to work, the interviewer's face grew cold. "I see. And you thought that was appropriate?" "I thought being present and productive at work was better than calling in sick," Maya said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Well, we need employees who can maintain professional boundaries," the interviewer replied. "We'll be in touch." They never called. After 3 months of unemployment, Maya was getting desperate. The savings were almost gone, and she was behind on her car payment. She started looking at evening and weekend jobs, anything to bring in some money while she continued searching for full-time work. She found a position waiting tables at a family restaurant called Tony's Diner. The pay wasn't great, but it included tips, and the manager was willing to work around her interview schedule. The job meant working Thursday through Sunday nights from 5 in the evening until midnight. Mrs. Liu agreed to watch Jake during these shifts, refusing to accept any payment. "You would do the same for me," she said when Maya tried to insist. Working at the diner was harder than Maya had expected. She hadn't waited tables since college, and she had forgotten how exhausting it could be. Her feet ached, her back hurt, and dealing with difficult customers while maintaining a cheerful smile was emotionally draining. But the worst part was being away from Jake in the evenings. She would get home around 12:30 in the morning, exhausted, and find Jake asleep on Mrs. Liu's couch. She would carry him back to their apartment, tuck him into bed, and then lie awake worrying about their future. Jake was struggling too, though he tried to hide it. His grades slipped a little. He seemed quieter than usual. One of his teachers called to ask if everything was okay at home. Jake seems a bit distracted lately, the teacher explained. He's usually such a focused student, but he's been having trouble concentrating. Maya felt like she was failing at everything. She couldn't find a decent job, she couldn't pay her bills on time, and now she was affecting Jake's schoolwork. The guilt was overwhelming. One particularly bad night at the diner, Maya was serving a table of college students who were being loud and rude. They complained about everything. The food was too cold, the service was too slow, the music was too loud. When Maya brought their check, they left a $1 tip on a $60 bill. Maya stood in the back room after they left, fighting back tears of frustration and exhaustion. Her shift supervisor, a kind woman named Rosa, noticed her. "Distress? Rough table?" Rosa asked. "Just having a difficult time lately," Maya admitted. "We've all been there," Rosa said. "You're doing good work here, Maya. Don't let a few jerks get you down." But it wasn't just a few jerks. It was the constant rejection, the financial stress, the worry about Jake, the uncertainty about the future. Maya felt like she was drowning, and every day it got a little harder to keep her head above water. Late one night, after a particularly exhausting shift, Maya sat at her kitchen table with her laptop, applying for more jobs. Jake was asleep and the apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic. She looked at her bank account balance and felt her heart sink. Even with the diner job, she wasn't making enough to cover all their expenses. She was going to have to make some hard choices soon. Maybe they would have to move to a cheaper apartment. Maybe she would have to ask her mother for help, which would mean admitting how badly things had gone. Maya closed her laptop and put her head in her hands. She had always been strong, always been able to handle whatever life threw at her. But this felt different. This felt like more than she could manage alone. She allowed herself a few minutes to feel sorry for herself, to acknowledge how scared and tired she was. Then she straightened up, opened her laptop again, and continued applying for jobs. Tomorrow would be another day, another chance. She had to believe that things would get better, because the alternative was giving up, and that wasn't an option. Not when Jake was counting on her. 4 months after losing her job, Maya was starting to lose hope. She had applied to over 100 positions, worked countless nights at the diner, and watched her savings disappear completely. Every rejection email felt like another door slamming shut. Every interview that ended with "we'll be in touch" felt like another dead end. Then, on a rainy Tuesday morning, her phone rang. "Is this Maya Chen?" The voice was professional but friendly. "Yes, this is Maya." "Hi, Maya. This is Jennifer from Tech Forward Solutions. We received your application for the administrative coordinator position, and we'd like to schedule an interview." Maya's heart jumped. She had applied to Tech Forward 3 weeks ago and assumed, like most of her applications, that it had been ignored. "That would be wonderful. When would work for you?" "How about Thursday at 10 in the morning? We're located downtown on 5th Street. Maya quickly agreed, trying to keep the excitement out of her voice. After hanging up, she sat staring at her phone for a moment. This was it. This could be the chance she had been waiting for. Tech Forward Solutions was a mid-sized technology company that helped businesses improve their computer systems. Maya had researched them thoroughly before applying. They had good reviews from employees, steady growth, and seemed like the kind of place that actually cared about the people who worked there. Maya spent the next 2 days preparing. She researched the company even more, practiced answering interview questions in front of her bathroom mirror, and tried on different outfits until she found one that looked professional, but not too formal. Mrs. Liu agreed to watch Jake on Thursday morning. "You're going to do great, dear," she said with an encouraging smile. "I can feel it." The Tech Forward office was in a modern building with lots of windows and open spaces. Maya arrived 15 minutes early and sat in the comfortable lobby, trying to calm her nerves. The receptionist was friendly, offering her coffee and making pleasant conversation. "Maya Chen?" A woman in her 40s approached with a warm smile. "I'm Jennifer Rodriguez, the office manager. Thank you for coming in." Jennifer led Maya through the office, which buzzed with quiet activity. People worked at standing desks, collaborated in glass-walled meeting rooms, and seemed generally relaxed and focused. It felt different from Morrison Financial Services, where everyone always seemed stressed and on edge. The interview panel consisted of Jennifer and two other managers. They asked about Maya's experience, her customer service skills, and her ability to handle multiple tasks. Maya felt confident answering these questions. She knew she was good at her work, even if her previous boss had made her feel otherwise. Then came the question she had been dreading. "I see you left your last position at Morrison Financial Services," said Tom, one of the managers. "Can you tell us about that?" Maya took a deep breath. She had practiced this answer, but her mouth still felt dry. "I was terminated due to a policy violation. My son's school was closed unexpectedly. My childcare arrangements fell through, and I made the decision to bring him to work with me, rather than miss another day. He was very quiet and well-behaved, but it was against company policy." Maya waited for the familiar change in expression, the cooling of tone that usually followed this explanation, but instead Jennifer nodded thoughtfully. "That sounds like an impossible situation," Jennifer said. "What would you do differently if faced with a similar scenario?" "Ideally, I would have better backup childcare arrangements in place," Maya replied. "But honestly, as a single parent, sometimes emergencies happen despite your best planning. I hope to work for a company that understands that employees are human beings with families, not just workers." Tom and the third manager, a woman named Lisa, exchanged glances. "Speaking of family policies," Lisa said, "let me tell you about some of the benefits we offer here." Maya listened as Lisa explained Tech Forward's approach to work-life balance. They offered flexible scheduling, the option to work from home occasionally, and something that made Maya's heart skip a beat: an on-site childcare facility for emergencies. "We believe that supporting our employees' personal lives makes them better workers," Tom explained. "When people aren't stressed about family issues, they can focus on doing their jobs well. Our CEO is particularly passionate about family-friendly policies," Jennifer added. "He believes that companies should adapt to people's lives, not the other way around." The interview lasted an hour, and Maya left feeling more hopeful than she had in months. These people seemed to understand that employees had lives outside of work. They seemed to value her as a person, not just as someone to fill a position. 3 days later, Jennifer called with the news Maya had been praying for. "We'd like to offer you the administrative coordinator position," Jennifer said. "The salary is $42,000 a year, plus health benefits and 2 weeks of vacation to start." Maya had to sit down. It was more money than she had made at Morrison Financial Services, and the benefits were better too. "I accept," she said immediately. "When can I start?" "How about Monday? We're excited to have you join the team." After hanging up, Maya called Jake at Mrs. Liu's apartment where he was doing homework. "Guess what, buddy? Mommy got a new job." "Really? A good job?" "A really good job, with nice people who understand that mommies sometimes have to take care of their kids." That weekend, Maya felt lighter than she had in months. She took Jake out for ice cream to celebrate, their first treat in weeks. She paid some overdue bills and bought groceries without checking prices on everything. For the first time since losing her job, the future looked bright. Monday morning arrived with sunshine and Maya's first day at Tech Forward. Jennifer gave her a tour of the office, introduced her to her new co-workers, and showed her to her desk. It was in an open area with lots of natural light, very different from the cramped cubicles at Morrison Financial Services. "Our weekly staff meeting is at 9:30, Jennifer explained. "You'll get to meet everyone, including our CEO." The conference room was large and comfortable, with a big table that seated about 20 people. Maya took a seat near the back, still feeling new and slightly nervous. Her co-workers seemed friendly and relaxed, chatting about their weekends and sharing coffee. At exactly 9:30, a young man in jeans and a button-down shirt walked into the room. He looked to be in his late 20s, with dark hair and an easy smile. Maya assumed he was another employee until Jennifer stood up. "Good morning, everyone. Before we start, I'd like to introduce our new administrative coordinator, Maya Chen. Maya stood and waved, feeling self-conscious as everyone turned to look at her. Welcome to the team, Maya, the young man said with a warm smile. I'm Alex. Kim, and I'm the CEO here. Maya was surprised. She had expected someone older, more formal. Alex seemed approachable and down to earth. Nothing like the intimidating executive she had imagined. I know Jennifer has probably told you about our company culture, Alex continued, but I want you to hear it directly from me. We believe that our employees are our most important asset, and that means supporting you as whole people, not just workers. He went on to explain the company's philosophy about work-life balance, family support, and creating an environment where people could do their best work. As he spoke, Maya found herself thinking about how different this was from Mr. Peterson's rigid approach to management. We have an on-site childcare facility that any employee can use for emergencies, Alex said. We have flexible scheduling options. We understand that life happens, and we want to work with you, not against you. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. After months of feeling like a failure, like someone whose personal circumstances made her unemployable, she was finally somewhere that saw her as a valuable team member. The meeting continued with updates from different departments, but Maya found herself watching Alex as he interacted with his employees. He listened carefully to their concerns, asked thoughtful questions, and seemed genuinely interested in their input. When someone mentioned a family issue that might affect their schedule, he immediately offered support and solutions. After the meeting, Maya returned to her desk feeling grateful and hopeful. She had a good job with good people who understood that being a working parent meant balancing multiple responsibilities. For the first time in months, she felt like she could breathe again. As she organized her new workspace and prepared for her first day of actual work, Maya couldn't help but think about how different things might have been if Mr. Peterson had shown even a fraction of the understanding that Alex and his team demonstrated. But dwelling on the past wouldn't help anyone. She was here now, in a place where she was valued and supported. Maya opened her computer and began her first day at Tech Forward Solutions, finally feeling like she was exactly where she belonged. 3 weeks into her new job at Tech Forward, Maya was settling in beautifully. She loved her work, her coworkers were friendly and helpful, and for the first time in months, she felt secure and valued. Jake was doing better in school, their finances were stabilizing, and life was finally looking up. Then, on a Wednesday morning, her phone rang at 6:30 a.m. Maya, I'm so sorry. Mrs. Liu's voice was weak and apologetic. I fell yesterday evening and hurt my ankle. I'm at the hospital right now. I won't be able to watch Jake today. Maya's heart sank. Mrs. Liu had been watching Jake before and after school since Maya started her new job. The elderly woman had become like family to them, and Maya was immediately worried about her injury. Oh no, Mrs. Liu, are you okay? Do you need anything? I'll be fine, dear, just a sprained ankle. But I wanted to call early so you could make other arrangements. After hanging up, Maya quickly went through her options. Jake's school was open, but there was a teacher training day, so classes ended at noon instead of the usual 3 o'clock. Maya's shift at Tech Forward went until 5:30. She needed someone to pick Jake up at noon and watch him for 5.5 hours. Her usual backup babysitter was out of town. The neighbor across the hall worked during the day. Maya called 3 different childcare centers, but none had space for a last-minute drop-in. Maya sat on her bed feeling that familiar knot of anxiety in her stomach. The same helpless feeling she had experienced 4 months ago when she made the decision that cost her previous job. But this time she told herself things were different. Alex had specifically mentioned emergency childcare options during her first staff meeting. She got Jake ready for school, dropped him off, and drove to work with a plan. She would talk to Jennifer about the emergency childcare facility that Alex had mentioned. Surely they could help with this kind of situation. But when Maya arrived at work, Jennifer wasn't in yet. Her desk was empty, and her assistant said she wouldn't be in until after lunch due to a doctor's appointment. Maya tried to focus on her work, but she kept watching the clock. 10 a.m., 11 a.m., 11:30. She needed to figure something out soon, or she would have to leave to pick up Jake at noon. At 11:45, Maya made a decision. She couldn't wait for Jennifer any longer. She needed to talk to someone who could authorize emergency childcare, and that meant going directly to Alex. Maya had only spoken to Alex a few times since starting at Tech Forward. He was friendly and approachable, but he was still the CEO. The idea of approaching him with a personal problem made her nervous, especially given what had happened at her last job. She knocked on his office door, which was open. Alex looked up from his computer and smiled. "Maya, come in. How are you settling in?" "Very well, thank you," Maya said, stepping into his office. "I'm sorry to bother you, but I have a situation and Jennifer isn't available." "No problem at all. What's going on?" Maya took a deep breath. "I have an emergency childcare situation. My regular babysitter was injured and is in the hospital. My son's school ends early today and I need to either use the emergency childcare facility you mentioned, or I'll need to leave early to pick him up." Alex nodded immediately. "Of course. Let me call down to our childcare coordinator and set that up for you." Maya felt a wave of relief. "Thank you so much, I really appreciate it." Alex picked up his phone but then paused and looked at Maya with a curious expression. "Can I ask what happened at your previous job? Jennifer mentioned during the hiring process that you had been terminated for a policy violation, but she didn't. Give me the details." Maya's stomach clenched. She had hoped she wouldn't have to explain this story again, especially not to her new CEO. But Alex seemed genuinely interested, not judgmental. "It was a similar situation to today." Maya began carefully. "My babysitter got sick. My son's school was closed for repairs and I couldn't find anyone to watch him. I was a single mom with no family in town and I couldn't afford to miss work, so I brought him with me to the office." Alex leaned forward, listening intently. "He was very well behaved," Maya continued. "I set him up in the break room with coloring, books and snacks. He didn't disturb anyone or interfere with my work, but when my boss found he was furious. He said it showed poor judgment and unprofessionalism. He fired me on the spot." Alex was quiet for a moment, his expression thoughtful. "How old was your son?" "6, Maya replied. "He's still 6 now." Alex nodded slowly, and Maya could see something changing in his expression. His eyes seemed distant, like he was remembering something. "Maya," Alex said quietly, "can I tell you a story?" "Of course." Alex leaned back in his chair, his voice taking on a softer tone. "When I was about 6 years old, my mother was a single parent too. She worked as a receptionist at a small accounting firm downtown. One day, my school was closed due to a broken heating system, and our babysitter had canceled at the last minute." Maya felt her breath catch. The story sounded eerily familiar. "My mother couldn't afford to miss work," Alex continued, "so she brought me to her office. She set me up in a corner with some books and toys, and I was very quiet. I colored pictures and read stories while she worked." Maya's eyes widened as she realized where this story was going. "Around lunchtime, her boss came back from a meeting and found me sitting at her desk," Alex said. "He was angry, really angry. He told my mother that bringing a child to work showed poor judgment and was completely unprofessional." Maya felt tears starting to form in her eyes. "He fired her on the spot," Alex said, his voice heavy with old emotion. "Made her pack up her things while I sat there, not really understanding what was happening, but knowing it was bad." The room was completely quiet, except for the soft hum of the air conditioning. "Maya," Alex said, looking directly at her, "I was that kid." Maya felt tears spill over onto her cheeks. "Alex, my mother struggled for months to find another job," Alex continued. "People kept asking why she had been fired, and when she explained, they saw it as a red flag. She eventually found work, but it took a long time and it was hard on both of us." Maya wiped her eyes, trying to process what she was hearing. "When I started this company," Alex said, "I promised myself that no parent would ever face that choice here. No one would ever have to choose between their job and taking care of their child. That's why we have the policies we do." "I can't believe this," Maya whispered. Alex smiled, but it was a sad smile tinged with old hurt. "My mother always told Me that someday, when I was in a position to make decisions, I should remember what it felt like to be powerless. She made me promise that I would always try to help people who were in situations like we were. Maya was crying openly now. She sounds like an amazing woman. She was, Alex said softly. She passed away 3 years ago, but she lived to see me start this company. She was so proud when I told her about our family-friendly policies. Alex stood up and walked around his desk to hand Maya a tissue. Maya, I want you to know that what happened to you at your previous job was wrong. No parent should be punished for trying to take care of their child. Thank you, Maya managed to say through her tears. And I want you to know that here, if you ever face a situation like that again, you don't have to hide it or feel ashamed. You come to me, or to Jennifer, or to anyone on the management team. We will figure it out together. Alex returned to his chair and picked up his phone. Now let me call our childcare coordinator and get your son set up for this afternoon. What's his name? Jake, Maya said, still wiping tears from her eyes. Jake it is. And Maya? Thank you for sharing your story with me. It means a lot to know that the policies we've put in place are actually helping families like yours. As Alex made the call to arrange childcare for Jake, Maya sat in his office feeling overwhelmed with gratitude and emotion. To think that her worst moment, the day she was fired for trying to be a good mother, had led her to a job with someone who understood exactly what she had been through. When Alex finished the call, he looked at Maya with a warm smile. Jake can come here straight from school. Our childcare coordinator will pick him up and bring him to our facility. You can see him during your lunch break if you want, and then take him home when your shift ends. I don't know how to thank you, Maya said. You don't need to thank me, Alex replied. You're a valued member of our team, and we take care of our team members. That's what family does. As Maya walked back to her desk, she thought about the incredible chain of events that had brought her here. Losing her job had been devastating, but it had also led her to Tech Forward, to Alex, and to a workplace that truly understood the challenges of being a working parent. She thought about Alex's mother, and how proud she would be to know that her son had grown up to create exactly the kind of workplace she had wished for all those years ago. And she thought about Jake, who would never have to experience what Alex had experienced as a child, watching his mother lose her job for trying to take care of him. Maya settled back into her work with a full heart, knowing that she had found more than just a job. She had found a place where she belonged, led by someone who understood that behind every employee is a human being with a life, a family, and, sometimes, unavoidable circumstances that require compassion and flexibility. For the first time since becoming a mother, Maya felt like she didn't have to choose between being a good employee and being a good parent. In Alex's company, she could be both.